a bright future with us as well. So it's 2 boys, and there's probably another few that's out on loan that we're hoping that maybe become part of the squad going forward. But we're a massive club, and we always look to sort of buy as well. But we're hoping to see some of the boys break through, mate, because it's something that we've not had in the past for a wee while. So going forward, it looks like we've got a few wee nuggets, and hopefully we'll bring them through and get them into the first team.
Okay, let's hear from you.
And they're off.
Hi, I'm Big Stevie.
Hi, I'm Southside from Rangers Radio.
As part of our club's 150-year celebrations, Rangers Radio are holding a charity race night on the 26th of March 2022 at the Wee Gers Club outside Ibrox Stadium.
Thanks to everyone who has contributed so far. There are still opportunities for businesses, supporters clubs and individuals to sponsor races and place advertisements within the event programme.
Listeners, including those unable to attend, can purchase tickets for our online Super 6 Races booze cruise to win a super selection of quality spirits provided by the Rangers Radio panellists.
For details how to take part in our Super 6 and how to purchase adverts in our race programme, please visit shop.RangersRadio.online.
Super 6 Races will also be screened live on Facebook. Any listeners wishing to become involved in our sponsorship should contact rangersradio@gmail.com.
All monies raised will go to the Emmy Smiley Charity Foundation, the Rangers Supporters Erskine Appeal and the Robert Mulholland Memorial Parade.
Meanwhile, it's Colonel John Summerbird in the red cap. And Zinyatta has come to the outside. Zinyatta coming flying on the grandstand side. Gio Conti on the inside. Summerbird is right there. This is unbelievable.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show. It's your platform. Let's hear from you.
I shouldn't laugh, but I wish Fox had kept the outtakes in it.
I think it gets better every time I hear it.
I think you sound better every time I hear it.
The outtakes would have been better, wouldn't it?
Aye, it was a laugh.
Anyway, if you've got a few shekels and want to get involved, it's all gone to great causes. As everybody knows, Rangers Radio is not for profit, and we're having a do. And all the money is going to these 3 worthy causes, yeah? 2 charities and a cause close to that. Right, okay. Get on and give your thoughts. What did we learn for Friday night? That's a big question. Did we learn anything? I don't think we did, if I'm being honest. Bridge?
Fine.
I have to agree with you. Overall, there wasn't any more we could have learned than what we've talked about. There's nothing great to learn. It was a run-of-the-mill game for us. If we put our sprint shoes on, I'm sure we could have actually took about 12 out of that team. Dead easy. If we'd scored double figures, nobody would have said anything. Nobody would have batted an eyelid. 4-0, it really flattered them, to be honest. But seriously, you're absolutely. I agree with both of you. There isn't very much for us to learn now.
I think maybe we learned. I don't think we'll be very good doing a back 3. I don't think it suits us. Maybe we don't have the players. Maybe it's something they might look at in the future. Maybe dating some games, but I don't know. I just prefer us with the back 4, to be honest.
Southside, you'd probably know and heard me a million times. I love 3-5-2 is a fantastic way to play football, but you've got to have the 3 top quality players. Can't be idiots, or the has-beens. They've got to be really good, fast, willing to tackle, and clever with the ball to their feet. And 2 of them were pretty good last Friday night. But I never even noticed it was actually a back 3. I just thought it was a back 4, and they'd swapped Balogun and Goldson over. That's what I thought.
No, it was Simpson, Balogun, Golson and Tav was pushed up one, Bridge.
I saw that at the start.
I know you're in the cheap seats behind the goals, but that's the expensive. You always notice these things. Southside.
Aye, 100%.
Very noticeable that Tav was up in midfield, but it wasn't long before he was back.
I mean, Simpson was bombing forward in the second half. I think you tell him he showed a bit of pace.
He's definitely outside.
Aye, I'm surprised, Bridge, the amount of people you said was sort of moaning about him. I mean, I didn't see that he'd done anything wrong. I thought he played all right. What was asked of him? I mean, I could be picky and say, all right, but couldn't have assisted with 2, and he'd done a wee bit of Hollywood in the middle of the park. But apart from that, you know, what else did he do? He looked a bit lazy, a bit uninterested, or just lacked something that he wasn't running about for 90 minutes. But he did produce a brilliant pass for Sakala. But I don't see him breaking into the team week in, week out. I don't see where he fits in when everybody's back fit. Even leaving Jack aside or Arfield, I still don't see him breaking into that first 11 that we've got.
I think the still in Albion brought the game down. When they got possession, they brought the game down to a particular level. And sometimes we never raised ourselves up high enough. And it maybe took us 10 minutes to get back up to a bit of pace. But really and truly, like, it was 4-0. And everybody left the ground very happy. I was very happy. I'm delighted we're through to the next round. Who did we get? Annan.
Annan
Athletic, yeah. Things I remember about doing there. The first season we were in the 3rd division. Doing there. I phoned my brother. I said, "What's the score?" He said, "Nothing each. We're nearly greeting." Wow.
All these teams are a blast for the past.
They are indeed. We learned.
Aye, well, we'll take that. Another time we should win gets us into the quarter-finals, Southside there.
Aye, mate, it's a good draw. Well, surface-wise, I think they've got a plastic pitch in that and the wee ground, but so again, we should be easing past them and into the quarter-finals, and that's what we're looking for to achieve. So aye, it's a draw, mate. So we've got to take it and just get steamed into them. And it's like I say, if we can get into the quarter-finals, and then we're looking to win this trophy, mate. We need to win this trophy as well as the league. You know, we need to get a Scottish Cup. It's been a while since we've been in Hampden in May. You know, so we need to get the Scottish Cup final and win it. But the league's the most important.
All right, okay, right. Bizarrely, has it been a good weekend for Rangers? On some misfortune for one of our players away in international duty, and stuff happening off the park, or on the park with other teams who have tried to manipulate fixtures. Some would say it was karma. Some would say that.
I don't know who you're speaking about.
Some would say that. You know, but Big Joe's coming home, Southside, you know. Obviously a bit of a shock. Nigeria knocked out in the last 16.
I haven't watched any of it, mate. I turned it on one day to listen to it.
You're not missing a lot, mate.
Nah, I've honestly not watched any of it. But I heard earlier that they were knocked out and he was coming back, so that's good for us, mate. Strengthens our team. But aye, going forward, mate, we need to pick a bit of form up. We need to get back to a bit of form because Aberdeen wasn't good enough. And obviously Friday we've not really learnt much, like we've said. So going on to Wednesday, we've got to be back in a bit of form, you know. Most important things to win, but we want to get back playing a lot better.
These next 10 days are they're the most critical in the league season, Southside?
Well, aye. At the moment, the way it stands, after we've flung away 2 points and we've got to get back on track and get back to winning. So aye, but the fixtures coming up and then we'll have them. Aye, they're important, mate, but we need to get back to firstly winning and secondly getting a good performance and start getting a settled team on the park that we know can do the job. And that's what we've just got to look forward to, mate. We've got to get playing better because we've not been playing better. But aye, it is important, mate. We need to definitely get the 3 points on Wednesday against Livingston to kick it on.
Aye, we're coming into getting towards the squeaky bum time, as Sir Alex would say, Bridgeman.
Indeed, pal. Well, you know, we've got 17 league games left. And every single one of them is golden. We have to win it. If we don't win it, then we're in deep trouble. We're going to be in deep trouble. We need to win and start next Wednesday, or this Wednesday, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to win it, and we have to start building again. I mean, okay, we never lost the last game against Aberdeen, but the way we played and what happened on the pitch, we allowed that to happen, and that's disappointing for a lot of fans to allow that to happen. And I heard there's been some stramash about Alloa causing trouble for them across the city.
Just to let you know, mate, you're not allowed to tackle anymore. It's not allowed.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, remember when it was Rangers and they had that young boy, Nathan Adua, lovely player, and he was getting smashed all over the park.
I think that was Alloa.
Saying it was Alloa, and nobody said a bloody word. Not a thing. They ended up, I think they put the boy in the game, to be honest. That was dreadful. And now, well, karma, great, I'm happy.
That was at Alloa, I think he done that rainbow flick, wasn't it?
Exactly, rainbow flick, and they do. Oh my goodness gracious. He was never allowed to live after that.
And then about a week later, was it somebody for Livingston done him in about 10 seconds or something before I think he done it exactly before the whistle would win. Started again.
Three different people. So terrible tackles on them. They were taking turns, so they wouldn't get sent off. Just dreadful stuff. So,
well, we're moving on to squeaky bum time, and hopefully everybody's coming back at the right time for the south side,
Aye, it'd be positive, mate, if we're going to get a few back. I'm not going to count Ryan Jack in that because he's been out for so long. I wouldn't imagine he'll be near the first team, but we are field obviously coming back, and if Stephen Davis is maybe available shortly, Aribo's back, then it strengthens our squad. I don't know about Hadji at the moment, but that aside, aye, it's good going forward, mate. We've got Itten back for support as well in the attack. We'll get Ruth back. So, aye, mate, we're looking in a good place. We're just hoping that we start hitting a bit of form. That's what I'm worried about. We just need to hit a bit of form, you know. But it's all positive for us.
So can I just say on a technicality about Ibrox? That's the first time we've had to show, or everybody's been asked to show. They were only picking selective ones, and to show the thing for the tests, the COVID tests. And they worked perfectly, no problem at all. I had mine in my what do you call it, my phone anyway. And I think that was excellent. However, I think that's them finished. Don't need them. Is
that the first time you've ever passed a test, Rich?
No, I was meaning. I'm just meaning that I had the test results on my phone. But any time I went up to show them, they just told me not to bother because, they were only maybe doing 5% or 10% of the people, But Friday night, apparently that was the first time I wanted to test everyone. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I said.
You just need to have you just have to have the facility to test so many people or show so many people.
Yeah. That's the first time I've showed it anyway. The first time I've had to show it. So.
Good crowd, Southside. Good crowd.
Aye, mate. It was for obviously the Friday night, and it's live on Premier Sports, wasn't it? I think so. Aye, it was 37 and a bit thousand, wasn't it? So, aye, it was a good turnout for the Bears. Like we said, it was a nothing game for us. It was like through the emotions and see how many we could win on the night. And obviously, when they changed the team so much, it was just a case of well, right, wee bit refreshing. Let's see how they're going to play. So apart from that, and it was a score for adults. So aye, it wasn't the worst, mate. It was a good crowd considering.
Mm-hmm. Can I just change the mood slightly? I'm not going to go into details, but Andy Thompson, who's always listening to the show on Facebook, listen, all my thoughts are with you and hope everything goes all right. Chin up, man.
Yeah.
Love to all your family.
Yeah.
My great crowd and a chance, Bridge, to take the kids and that along. Did you take Mrs. Bridge? When was the last time she was at a Real Madrid game?
Are you kidding? No, I was there. There was loads of kids, loads and loads and loads of kids, and it's great to see them. Marvellous to see them. So there was husbands and wives in the family. So, in fact, there was one of the guys that sits beside me every time at Ibrox. His grandson was there with his son-in-law. So he got a seat somewhere else. And his grandson was sitting beside me. I asked him his name, and he says, George. It was George. I sit with a guy called George I sit with. So his grandson was George II. Very good.
Might be George the Third.
No, it was George II. Not George III.
Okay, great to see the wins here, because it's important that you look after that generation south side, yeah?
Aye, mate, obviously being the cup tie and that, and there was going to be some tickets available. If you could have took the kids and that along, it's good for them to get along to the game. Obviously they never seen all the first team players that they might have hoped to see if they hadn't been going regular enough for league games, because it is dear for a kid's season ticket at Ibrox, and it is hard to get one. But if you manage to go along and but you've not been for a while, it would have been good just to go along to Ibrox and see some of the players, mate. Like I said, it was reasonably priced probably for kids as well, maybe a tenner or something. They might have been on the night to get in. So, aye.
Bridgeman, is there any truth in this rumour that's circulating on social media about the Bridge going head to head with the Stirling Albion Casuals?
There was about a dozen of them on the subway, and they were shouting and bawling, giving it big licks, you know. So they were looking forward to the game. And they actually walked up past the ticket office to get into the Drumlin Road. I thought, when I came out the subway, there's not a bloody police here. They should be telling these boys, no, you go along the street behind the subway, walk to the end of that, and up you go. No, they walked right up through the Rangers fans. So there was a few kerfuffles, and people didn't like what they were singing and so on and so forth. So they get chased on. That skipper that said that.
I wonder why. I wonder who.
Mr. S. Skipper. What a shocker. Wait till I see him. I'll tell you.
I'll tell you what, he'd have been no good under interrogation Southside, would he? Skipper.
I thought they'd noticed Bridge's Burberry hat. I thought that was maybe the clue, you know.
Right, maybe. If he strips Burberry on underwear on as well, Southside.
Ben Sherman, innit?
Oh dear.
Right, come and join us, give your thoughts. We'd like to know your thoughts on young Alex Lowry. I think there's potentially a footballer in there. I think number 10 role at the moment, if I'm looking at it. But obviously, as he grows up, his physique changes, he could play in a different. It looks as if he's going to be a creative player, Southside.
Aye, mate, definitely. Even just the way, like we said earlier, he picked the ball up and he drove forward, took the man on, played a 1-2. So he looks like he's got plenty of confidence in him. He looks comfortable on the ball as well. And it's just about him developing. That's what we're looking for. And obviously getting stronger and a bit more physical, because he'll have to be to play in the league, you know, because he'll certainly get battered about. But potentially we've got a right good wee player in there. And even Stephen Kelly, mate, it's away in loan. I thought he looks technically good as well, although he's a bit older. So between they two, both of them I think look really good. But the boy's definitely going to have a future with us, mate. And hopefully we'll see him flourish in our first team in time.
Is it just a sniff of the Barton-Maid's apron, Bridge, and then you start developing?
Yeah. It's look, it's there, and it's all the boys that we saw, the younger lads that we saw, and we have seen in the recent past, they've all got a good chance of being real good players for us. Sooner or later, you turn the tap on, it's going to come out, and it's going to come out good. Particularly that boy Lowry, and the big boy King. These guys have got potential beyond their means at the moment. Very similar to young Patterson. They've got it there, and all the fans want to see the best of them, the best for them, and that's what nurse them through it. Whatever they got to do, give them the chances, then pull them back in, like the old managers used to do. 2 or 3 games, come out back with it, don't get injured or whatever, you know, and then throw them back in again. See how they go, and before long it'll be there. Seriously, that boy Lowry was excellent. The whole stadium was standing their feet basically every time we get a ball, Tremendous.
You need a bit of luck. I don't care who you are or how good you are. You need a bit of luck, Southside.
I think it's hard, Bridge, as well. I mean, we've got some boys out in loan now, right? We've got, I think, McPake, Mayo, Williamson. We've got a boy, Stephen Kelly. And we've sent them out in loan. And you've got to hope that they're going to get bits of game time, or the team that they're playing for is want to try and play a passing game where they might get chances to go in and play. And sometimes some of the teams might just be kicking the ball out of their heads, and they might not get a chance to develop. So I suppose it's hard probably for us to try and find teams where the boys will get a chance and we can sort of gauge them in the sort of league they're playing in. But because if we keep them at Ibrox, the ones that have the age, Alex Lowry, 17 and 18 and that, they're at their level probably the now and playing, but still in Albion's what we're looking to get them into, maybe playing at first division level. But you look at the first division, it's all kick and rush stuff, ex-pros and big boys that just hump the ball or just kick you out the road. So we need to try and get somewhere where they can go and develop, so when we bring them back, that they've had enough game time, enough experience, and then we can push them into our first team, That's the hardest thing, I think, Ox, is to find certain clubs for them, when we want to farm them out.
I used to like the idea of sending them down to England, to some of the sort of lesser clubs down there. I've got a season in among them. Because those leagues were brilliant for youngsters, brilliant. But like you said, some of the teams are a bit tough and things like that. The boys they've got to learn and they've got to go and do it. I'd rather they do it in England because a broader picture to paint for themselves. Then they can go back up and see how they've done and show everybody how they've done it. It'd be great to see. I know loads of our players have done that and down in England come back up. Great stuff. I'm not keen on them going to Scottish teams at the moment. I'm not that keen on it because I don't think they get treated the best. They're stuck in the reserves and things like that. I'm saying the reserves. We don't have reserves, of course. They're stuck on the bench or something like that. I think we need to somehow or other get some guarantees that they'll get time, game time.
If you don't go out and play Southside, you might as well stay.
Aye, I mean,
exactly.
The benefit they get when they get promoted into the first team is they're playing up with the first team, they're training, and it's a big eye-opener for them, and they'll see where they are in levels. They'll know that playing boxes and all that, they're probably a good bit off it and competing physically and that, but to go and experience it and train with the first team, it's brilliant. It's then, if, like we're saying, Bridge, if I've got a couple of boys, I think there's one at Partick Thistle, there might be one at Ayr United. Just using the two examples, I don't know how Ayr United play week in, week out, but you can imagine there'll be a lot of long ball stuff possibly. And depending on what he's maybe just, if you're playing there in your centre back, you're up against physical strikers, all right, you'll learn. But we're looking for them we're hoping that they're going to get enough game time and they'll develop. Will that strengthen them and make them stronger? Maybe in a year's time when they come back to Ibrox? You'd like to hope so. But I'm just thinking about our midfield players away in loan and that. If they go to a team and it's just lump it back to front all the time, he's not going to get a lot of football time and a lot of chance to develop. So it's a catch-22. If you keep them, the benefit is they train with the first team. But naturally, you've got to drop them down to the lower league probably to get the game time, because there's no an under-23 league or that anymore, or a reserve league that we can go into. That's just the stage you're at. So, like you say, probably going down to England, Bridge, sometimes and getting their chance and coming back up. But they've just got to take their chance when they come back up, and they hope when they come back up that they've just naturally learnt a bit, but they're a bit more physically stronger as well. Because that's the thing about playing in Scotland. You'll have to be physically stronger, more athletic. Just like Nathan Patterson was, for his age.
See, he was playing the second team or something like that, didn't he? Apparently.
Aye, maybe they don't think he's ready yet.
Well, it's just to give him game time, I would imagine. But the thing is, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, my goodness gracious, that Everton team are a very poor team. And young Nathan can't get a game in there. and they track chances as they'll not get a game till they get better, you know. They'll feed them in a wee bit, you know.
Maybe he's became a better player staying out it.
Well, it could, he will. I'm sure he will do. For the youngsters.
Aye, okay, aye. Southside, a quick question for you, and then Bridge can have the same after. Do you think the two boys would have made their debuts if it wasn't for the B team playing in the Lowland League?
I think the boy Leon King probably.
He's already played, didn't he? He made it.
Aye, he played, but I think it was a wee reward, you know, for showing good attitude, and they were saying he'd been promoted up in the contract and stuff. And I think probably not. Well, I think they would have made the squad because of the opposition. I think if we could have played more subs that night, I think maybe the boy Weston would have got in. You know, it was just the fact that we could only play the three, but I think they deserved to get called up because it was still in Albion. And maybe one or two others on another night might have got the chance if it wasn't for they two. But no, mate, I think it was a good choice that we put them in the squad that night and played them.
Rich?
You know, one thing I don't understand is why we only get 3 subs. I do not understand that. They should be, no matter what competition you're playing, if you're in Scotland, the rules should be the same for each competition, particularly the number of subs, because it's brilliant. You know, it allows you to go in there and get an extra 2 people, you know, you can definitely play. It's just changes everything. To me, it just changes. And I do think, in all honesty, based on what I saw on Friday, I think you could easily take those 2 boys and put them in against some of the lesser teams in the Premiership. I think you could, but not for an hour and a half. You know, you could get them on for 20 minutes at the end, just let them get the feeling of it all. That's what I think you could do, because you've got the chance to be with 5 subs. That's why I was mentioning 5 subs. But sometimes if you've only got the 3 subs like that, you know, you're reluctant to lose a place for the better players. But I think with 5 subs, you could easily fit those boys in and give them a 20-minute spell here and there. And then all of a sudden they're going to be good players for us. I think they're going to find out anyway.
Do you think this 5-sub, forgetting even about the pandemic, do you think that's the way football's going to go, Southside?
It looks that way, mate. A lot of clubs were in favour of it, and it seems to be. I think it's probably here for a good wee while, unless they change it again in the future. But I think it suits probably us as well. But I don't honestly see this season the 2 boys getting back in a Rangers bench, unless I don't see it. This is too big a season for us. We need to win this league and get a Scottish Cup. They got their chance. They've had a wee taste of it. The boy King's been in before against Falkirk, but the boy Lowry, as much as he looked really good and all that, and I've said before on here, that's his level against a team like Stirling Albion and maybe 1 or 2 others you could probably bring in. But he played well on the night, done what was required. We're all happy about it. We're delighted for him. He's a blue nose. He's been at the club all that time, but he's a million miles away for that Rangers first team, in my opinion.
Again, I'm not going to...
Across his gent, the Rangers Radio youth policy has failed once again for John Bill Davey. Evening, Davey.
Hi, Davey.
Good evening, gentlemen. It's lovely to hear your delicate tones. Good show. Yeah, just a wee question regarding... we'll go into Lowry in a minute, but what I'd like to ask these guys is, where do you think the Ryan Jack situation's heading? Do you think it doesn't look too clever?
Oh, mate, that's a real tough one. Since it's a tough one, Southside.
It's a good question, Davey. I'd like to think, Davey, that he can come back and play football. I'd like to hope that if he can come back fit in time, or he gets himself out the wee injuries, you could say, was it related to the injury that kept him out all this time? We don't know, because Davey's been out for a long time. You're coming back into training, you're going to pick up wee tweaks and all that, a wee calf knock or something, strain here, maybe a groin or whatever. So I would like to hope that Ryan Jack will come back fit, and if he's fit and could do a job at Glasgow Rangers, I would like to see it. Whether Gio would think that he's his type of player or wants to rely on him will be another thing. And if it's no big Glasgow Rangers, Davy, and he has to maybe go elsewhere and he's maybe troubled with injuries and he wants to just play football, then I'd wish him all the best. But I'd love to see him back in the Rangers jersey, fit.
Me too.
Hopefully it's not the same injury flaring up all the time. It's maybe his body reacting to try to work so hard to get back playing. Because if it's the same injury all the time, it's not a good sign, Davy.
Well, that's what I was trying to ask these guys. I mean, Ross keeps saying we'd love to see him back, but it doesn't look like it, does it? And I think you can only go so long, and you've got to replace a guy like him, which you don't want to do. But I think the way it's went on and on, I think there's more to it than maybe we don't know what it is, but I think it'd have been back by now, I think.
You also need a bit of luck as well, Bridgman.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it played a couple of months ago for us, if it was that. But, this injury is going to keep repeating until he either gets it resolved or he can't play anymore. But you don't want him to be again when he finishes up to be completely crippled. So we need to look after him, make sure he's okay, and try and get him through it. Because what the boys are saying about earlier, this is the way recovering from injuries are. Sometimes it's easy because it's, but sometimes it's really difficult, and that's possible with Ryan Jack's seeing at the moment. Really difficult recovery. So Rangers need to back him up all the way. But you're right. How do we know when it's going to be? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Just keep trying to keep supporting the guy. Let's see how he gets on. Because I'm, for one, like Ryan Jack. I like Ryan Jack in my team.
Aye, I think we're a better team for a fit Ryan Jack there, isn't it, Davy?
Oh, a million miles. I would just like to say regarding the performance on Friday that we can nitpick here, there and everywhere, which we always do when you're a Rangers man. But if you look at all the other results, 4-0 is brilliant to get in the next round. When you look at Hibs, extra time, Celtic were struggling the last 10 minutes. So, grab it with both hands and move on.
Oh, it was a thoroughly, if you like, I wasn't going to say professional, but we done what had to be done. I don't think we got a second gear Southside.
No, Davy, we're record in cups. Any win's good for us. No, we want to keep going and get a Scottish Cup in the bag, mate, along with the league trophy. But like I said earlier, Davy, they're not going to learn a lot for it. We're on a hiding to nothing. Didn't matter what the score was. He played the system slightly different with a back three and that, and obviously picked a completely different team. Probably some of us imagined that some of them would have played, but like I said, I thought it was a wee bit disjointed at times, the way they were all stuck together and they weren't really sure at times, I thought. But end of the day, Davey, like you said, looking at the rest of the results in the Cup, a win gets us into the next round. We play on and away, and that should be another win, gets us into the quarter-finals, mate.
Yeah. I have to agree with them.
Sorry, we're coming in there, David. Sorry, mate.
No, I was just sort of trying to analyse the game as in when we're talking about how they played. I think when you're bringing in as many changes and people out of position, a bit out of possession and positions, it's hard for that to gel right away. So, as Bridgman says in his analysis of the game, I mean, when the whistle went, they just went back the way. And you stick 10 at the back, any teams will find them hard to break down. And when you've got guys there have not played with each other, all right, they're out in the training, but that's not the same as walking out there with 40,000 on top of you. It's a big ask.
Aye, we've done enough, David. We've done enough. As I said, I don't think we got a second gear, but that was it, mate. The game's done, 4-0, you move on, yeah?
Oh, 100%. And we've got a good draw in the next round. I know, as she said, was saying, our record's not been great, but it's time it started to get a bit better.
Aye. It's been a long time since we were in the Scottish Cup final, wasn't it? 2009? 9? That's your Novo's goal. Was that the last time we played the Scottish Cup final?
No, it was against Hibs. 2016.
I've erased that from my memory, mate.
So, I know. Tell me about it.
I must have done the same thing, because I'm wondering what they're talking about.
I've erased that from memory because I was with Bridge and Fox that day.
I'll tell you. Bloody 1-0 down and then 2-1 up. Give it all away. And
a £60 ticket for my problems, Bridge.
I was a present to Foxy, that was, wasn't it? Present to Foxy. Turn left here, that's all right.
Go that way. Oh,
listen to a taxi driver. Listen to a taxi driver.
He should have paid that for me, Bridge, shouldn't he?
I think he should pay it every week. I think he owes you about £60 a weekend.
Anyway, right, we're going to have a tune, and I just want to mention Wally Henderson's 78 today, and we'll talk about him after the tune, so get your thinking caps on, Bridge, yeah?
Try my best.
Yeah, and Davey, obviously, he must have been about 20 when Wally came into the team, yeah?
Just play the tune.
Get yourself in mute. We're going to have a tune.
you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
That was an LP, it was on South.
I know.
That was brilliant, by the way. Brilliant.
Oh, dear.
5 minutes long.
I think they used to call that an EP, didn't they?
So, oh dear. Willie Henderson, 78 today, Davy. Memories.
Well, there's not enough time to talk about the guy. It's just different class, different level of football. You could tackle. There's decent referees. Willie Henderson was up there with the greatest, you know, when he was on his game, which he nearly always was. And I loved the one I was at the game when he scored against the Celtic, and he turned around and he went like that with his arms. And the other Celtic were giving him pelters because of what he'd done. Betty always giving him big. And he turned around and he says later on, I just turned around. I was waving at my dad, but then he realised it was right around the end. He's a character, pure character.
Modern football, you're not allowed to tackle. The game that Willie played in, you get assaulted, eh?
Well, that's the thing that I've really lost a lot of interest in modern day football, because there's the rules and the refereeing, and we've seen it all last week. It's just at a level now. It couldn't get any lower, and you get these guys that are simulating. You tackle them, they're getting tackled for the knee down, and they're rolling about on their face. That just drives me bonkers. I just think a time for size, even or the great players, even up to even just 10 years ago. And you look where you're now, it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm. Made his debut at 16, South Side.
Aye, some age to make your debut, at Rangers, I think. I only remember him for the team photos, mate, back in the day. But I'm sure he was part of a treble team, Davey. I think 63, 64,
around
about then. He won a few. I think we got a few Scottish Cups and that back in the day. So I think he was successful. I think he was part of the team that went to the final in Europe 66, 67 season. He'd have probably been in that as well, Davey.
He was indeed. He was.
Bridge. So like I said, from what I've read about him and seen clips and that, he looked a wonderful player, you know.
I just imagine we played in my memory, fond memories of him. I was only, I think, 15 when I saw Willie Henderson. But he had been playing for Rangers for maybe 2 years at a time. He made his debut. Was it 16? I heard Doc saying.
Well, I don't know if that was in a friendly. The first games I've got, he was 17, 46 days, but he might have played in a bounce game before that I can't find. I'm looking. But I mean,
it's right. When I remember, I worked in a wee factory in York Street there in Glasgow, and it was one of these places where there was only so many. I think there was only one proddy. That was me. A man, and one proddy, a woman. The rest were all Celtic fans. Those early days. But Willie Henderson played for Rangers then. He just started playing. That's what they called him, Willie Henderson. It was brilliant. It was great to go and see him. Tremendous player.
Well, the reason Fox is 78 today, so we wish him all the best, yeah. But also, when you look at the boy Lowry, it's come in his Southside. Well, he got 3 games as a 17-year-old, then 15 games, then 27 games, and played in the cup games. You know, so developed. So by the time he's 19, he's starting to really push into the first team, and I think that's what it takes you. If you come in at 16, 17, 18, there's 2 years worth of development for most people.
Aye, obviously. Aye, I mean, you could say the boy Lowry. I'm not going to compare him to Willie Henderson, but as we're talking, like Willie Henderson had obviously we've seen exceptional talent. Obviously, then I don't even know if there was subs. I think subs came in a wee bit later on in the 60s and that. But to be exceptional to go in and play at that level, and the young boy showed the same thing. He was exceptional for the time he was on the park and that. But you just. Nowadays, the way football is, unless you're really, really like people say, well, if you're a Wayne Rooney, you can come in different positions on the park. You'll get maybe a chance to develop a wee bit more game time than others. If you're a winger, you might get the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you might go on in games. But if you're a central defender or a central midfielder, it's harder for you to go on that park nowadays, especially being so young and trying to take a chance, you know. So, but that's the only way I can sort of relate to it. Obviously, back in the day, Willie Henderson, he's exceptional as a winger, and he proved it in the years he was at the club. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the young boy will do the same in time, but it's just different type of football now, and it's quicker, and it's just so different from what it was back then, you know.
One of Scottish football's greatest characters, Bridgeman. Oh.
David. Yeah, it was that. It was a real character. Loved the boxing. I don't know why I liked the boxing, but I liked the boxing. We used to go, well, then we used to get a lot of boxing nights in Glasgow. Henderson was always there.
That was every Friday, Bridge.
That's right, yeah.
Outside the Locarno Bridge, yeah.
Well, you know, these were favourite places by yours truly. I loved the Locarno. Not that I was rather wild then, so no, I never done to me in the Locarno. It was outside, it was right enough.
Folks, mate. One of his favourite stories was, I thought, a classic. He said it a few times at different presentations. Was the time when he was in the house and the doorbell went. And the guy's dad went to the door, and it was a scout for Everton. You heard this, man? This is true. He went as a scout for Everton. He says, I'm here to talk to your boy about signing for Everton. So they took him in and they sat and talked to him and his dad. He said, we'd like to sign you, blah, blah, blah. He says, well, leave it with us and we'll think about it. And as soon as the guy for Everton left, his father says to him, Willie, I'll wait and get your road map, he says, and see where Everton is. He hadn't a clue it was in Liverpool. I think they called it an atlas in the days, wasn't it? An atlas.
That was, you didn't have sat-nav or Google Maps then, mate. Anyway, yeah, talking about guys who are legends of Scottish football. We've been joined by Bob Jar. Evening, Bob Jar.
Good evening, lads. How are you doing tonight, boys? All right, what a wonderful subject. You know, my favourite is wee Willie Henderson. One of the greatest players ever to pull a Rangers strip on, without a doubt. Like, I know all his history. You know, I've seen his debut, and I used to watch him week after week, tearing it up. What a player he was! He was fantastic, really excellent. He was more direct than what Johnson was at the time. And you kind of two of them played together at the time, but we Henderson was more direct. He was full length of the park and tear a whole team to shreds. He was like a wee bully, a great wee player. Can I tell you a story about him, Ox?
Yes, of course. As long as it's clean, Bob, yeah.
It's clean. It's absolutely clean. Clean and true. When I was a young boy, I was 13-year-old. I got both my legs smashed up in a car accident. I was just a wee malt boy in a house and scheme and a car hit me. Now, that's a true story. That was Barcelona's loss. What can you do? And I ended up in hospital in Alloa for 6 months, and wee Willie Henderson was at a do in one of the pubs, and my father was at the do, and I asked him if he would go up and see me because he was my hero. And sure enough, he did. He come up and see me in hospital, the wee man. Him and Dick McTaggart at the time. Dick McTaggart was British. He was a rat. His job was a rat catcher in Dundee. And him and wee Willie Henderson came up and visited me. I never forgot that. They signed the Scottish football book for me. So the wee man was, what, 78 today, is he?
78, aye.
I'm very happy returns the great Willie Henderson.
Yeah. My one of the all-time greats. One of the names at Rangers, you just have to say it. 440 430 appearances for us. 431 starts. Obviously, substitutes were quite a different thing, different game then. Took a lot of punishment, pretty consistent. His appearances, Southside, you know.
Aye, we've heard them back in the day, and Bob Jer and Davey will know, and Bridge, like, used to get away with one or two hefty tackles, maybe put you on the side of the park, and the ref might have come out and had a word with you, you know, and then, but in the parts, if you look at some of the surfaces he must have been playing on at that time, and he's trying to run with a ball and dribble by people, you know, and by all accounts, he was a phenomenal winger, phenomenal player, and no heart, you know. Obviously these gentlemen will talk about my lot better than I can, but listening to stories and stuff, he sounded like a great player for the Glasgow Rangers in the time he was with us, probably about 11 years, maybe 12 years, 11 years, 12 years.
Yeah, seasons 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry, Southside. We'll come back to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
But aye, Bob Jer, like you said,
12 seasons played for us, yeah.
Aye, it's a great thing, Bob Jer, that he's in a pub local in the corner and he takes a chance to come up and pay you a visit, mate. You know, it's unbelievable, you know. Try and get players to do that now for anybody, you know, it's hard. You probably have to go through a lot of channels to try and get a player to do that, but for somebody just to be there, and it's a great gesture.
Try and get anybody to visit you in the hospitals and ring my room.
He went round the whole ward and shook hands with everybody to people in Henderson, the gentleman. I never forgot for that.
The guy who was with Bob Jer, the guy who was with Dick McTaggart, he was a Scottish champion, and he was an Olympic medalist. He wouldn't
turn pro.
No. Wanted to stay where he was. He wanted to stay a rat catcher.
That's what he was in Dundee, aye. That was his job, aye. Aye. And he wouldn't turn professional. I think he was British champion, Dick McTaggart, Olympic champion.
He was Olympic champion. Or medalist anyway, you know.
Gold medal. He wouldn't turn pro, Dick McTaggart. No, I remember that. I got to shock him a bloody young life at that time. And yes, aye. But Wee Henderson was a fantastic player. I mind him playing against England, and Jimmy Armfield was England's left back, and what a time Henderson gave him.
By the way, what a fullback Jimmy Armfield was as well.
Oh, fantastic, aye. Fantastic, oh, aye. And you know, Wee Henderson gave him a terrible time at Wembley, like. That's the great Jim Baxter. So, aye, they were the days, boys.
Talking about real pros, we couldn't find any, so we'll be joined by Alex Kelly, keeping it up.
I lifted my skirt for you two.
Well done, aye, Alex.
Good evening, Bridge. Southside. Aye, how we doing?
How you doing, Alex?
Yeah, no bad. Happy birthday, Billy Henderson, if he's listening tonight.
Yeah,
and Tom Forsyth would have been 73 yesterday as well. I read that on a certain page. That was a year that he passed away, so happy heavenly birthday to Tom Forsyth as well.
Aye, well, big Tom. Great player. Fantastic.
Any stories about Tom as a player, Oxford? That was your kind of era, was it not?
No. Lee Wallace in my type of era.
Your favourite captain?
Big Tom.
William Wallace.
Bob Jer will tell you all about Tom Forsyth. He'll tell you all about him.
Big Tom, what a fantastic player. I think that Southside don't know where I'm coming from here, you know, but when we had a win spell between 78, 79 in the students years, we competed in a few cups, but never really competed in the league. In the John Grant tenure, I think it wasn't helped by the fact that Tom Forsyth was injured. Southside?
Aye, that did contribute. We had, and plus, when he was in there at that time, I know John Gregg sort of, but we could have kept some of the players and we moved them on, but it was a hard thing at the club at the time. We were Gregor Stevens and all, Ox, if you remember.
Yes.
He took Ibrox, wasn't it? I think we were getting beat 4-1. I'm sure it was Jim Stewart's debut. And 18-yard box up towards the Broomlin end. The ball was down the other end of the park. The next minute you look down and there's Sturrock lying flat out at the edge of the 18-yard box. Big Gregor had just hooked him. Just belittled him. Went to the deck, that was it. But aye, he could take a body, Big Gregor, at the time. But Big Tam was brilliant. Always be remembered for the goal in the cup final. And he was a decent player at tackle, if you remember, against Mick Shannon at Wembley. Wembley, 1975. Hampden was it?
Hampden.
About 75, 76 or something.
76, mate, aye.
Aye, you know.
Gregor Stephen. Big Drum Chapel boy, right?
He was, mate, he sure was.
How can he play? Carry on, Southside.
Beat it, you.
Aye, no, just we were saying, but he wasn't a Big Tam. I'd say Big Tam was a far better player than Big Gregor was, but it was all heart. But back in the day, that's what you were. You were rugged, weren't you, Bridge? You had to be tough and that.
You
wasn't so much.
Gregor Stephen, I'll tell you.
But aye, so that Big Tam 73, was he?
He would have been.
Would have been, mate. That's right. Sorry, mate. Aye, would have been, aye.
Like that, I mean, Alex, and I'm not going to score points or anything, but Gregor Stevens, maybe one of the hardest guys you've ever seen.
Oh my God!
Really?
He couldn't play.
Hit the fit button. Out of the fit button.
Bridge man.
Can't help.
You know,
it's a hell of a disciplinary record, Gregor Stevens.
I didn't get sent off as often as you think for us, mate. I checked too, actually, but look, it's all right having all the heart and all the desire and all the want to play for the club, Alex, but you've got to be able to play.
Aye, very, very true. But I like listening to stories because that was my kind of dad's era, you know, and it's something we kind of cling on to. Even with the Willie Henderson thing, going back to you're saying he debuted for Rangers as a teenager, you know, and the likes of Derek Johnson coming into the team, and as you mentioned, I mentioned Tam Forsyth, going through to Davy Cooper and Ian Gerrard and Derek Ferguson, and you know, I just think that the club had an identity back then, and a lot of the supporters related to it.
It's no us that's changed, it's a world that's changed, mate.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just a wee bit concerned with these young boys, particularly in the back of Patterson getting offloaded to Everton, and hopefully the young boy Lowry you know, grows a wee bit into our jersey, but I'm just a wee bit concerned about the identity of the club and where we're going, because I think it's important to hold on to these youngsters and let them grow in our jersey and win trophies for our club.
If they're good enough, mate.
Well, that's first and foremost.
Aye.
But I don't think they would be kept on at academy, surely, if they're not good enough. But is it a project just to make money for the club? You know, because I think we risk losing something then.
Both. Let's be honest about it. It's both. Southside, you have an academy, you might have your top half a dozen, your middle half a dozen, and the other half a dozen have to be there so the other 12 can play, because you need a squad. You know, and times it mixes and matches. One of the guys that's the lower comes through and becomes a top pro. You don't know. The guy at 16 might not be the best player at 21. It's not an exact science, is it?
It's hard, Alex. We've touched on it. I mean, quickly on the Nathan Patterson thing, right? He's got some first team games. We'd love to have seen him play longer. Exceptional amount of money for a boy at his age with potential. So if we just leave it at that one, if you can get one player, if you could sell a player like that out of our academy, I don't think we'll sell another player like that out of our academy. I think that's a one-off for us for a good wee while, Alex, I think, because he was exceptional and he's got international experience as well, flung in. But the boy Kelly, I thought, could have had a chance. He looks as if he could do a job. He looks as if he's got something about him. He's a good wee player. He's loaned into what, Salford, is it? I think he's went to now. Yep. He's a wee bit older. But like you're saying, through the academy, Alex, you want to see the boys come through and get a chance. Mm-hmm. But some will look good in that. And I think it's trying to get them. It's a two-team league. And the thing is, we've got to win this league every year, Alex. And that's the tough thing. I know. If these boys were if these boys, maybe 4 or 5 of them was at a Kilmarnock, a Motherwell, or a something like that, they'd probably be playing first team football around about 18 and ranking up the games like Greg Docherty did it at Hamilton. But you're coming into a different environment at Rangers, and you have to really be exceptional, like a Barry Ferguson, because he only played centre midfield, Alex. And I think it depends on what positions they're playing in. You know, you might be able to give them a bit more game time, but I still think the boy King and the boy Lowry, especially Lowry, now is a wee bit away for the first team. But I'd like to hope in another season or season and a half that he could maybe get more physically, and will he get into our first team, or will he get run about it? Because you know what we do, Alex, we go out and buy. That's what we've all been talking about. Who are we going to buy? Who are we going to buy?
Aye, but we're not exactly buying for big money anymore. You know, it's all loans and free transfers and loan me an option.
We're both boys at 21 and 2021 and stuff like that, 22, when you're maybe looking to try and bring a boy like Stephen Kelly's, what is he, 23, Alex, isn't he?
Aye.
So maybe at him you'd have been thinking, well, how's he not starting to break through? You know, is he good enough, or is he going to go and find a club at another level where he'll develop and he'll maybe be a decent player but no a world beater, or he might turn around to be a right good one if we let him go? Maybe
it's the name Kelly that holds them back for the team.
Well, it didn't the goalkeeper, did it?
Here, never mind another team, you know what I mean?
But it's hard, Alex, to try and get them in. We'd love to see a couple in the team. I think our youth things go to be that way. If we can sell a couple of players on for decent money, if they're not going to make your first team, then we've got to do it.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Cooper. You mentioned, who else did you mention? Tam Forsyth.
I'll be bought them.
I'll be bought them.
But they were blue noses though, eh? They were blue noses. That was the kind of main thing. Oh, they were.
You cut them in half, with Quentin Young.
Come on now, Oxford. You cut them in half, they were blue.
They became that. Whether they were into blue families, I don't know, mate. I don't know. I'm trying to think now.
Well, I know the Cooper family, and they were 100%.
Oh, David Cooper. David Cooper was a...
And I knew Tam Forsyth as well. In the village that he was from, he's 100% blue as well. Two good Lanarkshire boys.
At least one of them was good at bowls. Somebody did at bowls, you know.
I played Tam many occasions. A gentleman, he was very softly spoken. He was a big towering guy as well. He must have some physique in his youth.
Oh, he could play. I think he was a better player than people give him credit for. When we talk about Willie Henderson, Bob Gia, player and rest of the world team, which was a pinnacle for people back then in the early 60s.
No, and he played in a testimonial for Stanley Matthews as well against the rest of the world.
He did indeed, Tom. He did indeed.
And what was it? Baxter played at Wembley for the rest of the world. Yeah. That was the accolade they carried at that time. Him and Dennis Law were the two Scotsmen. And but big, as you all know, I didn't mean to tell you that the press here labelled Big Tam as Jaws, because by God he could tackle with their own right leg. I've seen him mixing it with the best of them, as you say, the famous tackle against Mick Shannon. He was a great central defender for Rangers, Big Forsyth. He was about it. Sandy Jardine at right back, him in the middle. With Big Jackson sometimes, and the latter days of Ronnie McCann, but was in the same team as Ronnie McCann, I can't mind. But Big Jaws is a big, powerful player, and we'll never forget the 30-year blockbuster in the cup final. What a man!
I think that's it'll be always
studs and went in the back of the net. But there you go. Big Jaws, Big Tam. Ended up the manager at Dunfermline. I didn't get quite worked out from there.
No.
I mean, we Tommy McLean were great bowlers. No, that was their second spot.
Colin Steen as well, by the way. Colin Steen, great.
Colin Steen, aye.
I know Colin well, mate. Colin's not a bad bullet.
But is it the football, then bowls, then golf, innit? The older you get, the smaller your balls get, Alex.
You must be on to ping pong by now.
Brilliant.
Marbles.
I think you lose your marbles as you get older.
Ask Andy Leeds, he'll tell you that one.
Ask old Davy.
Oh, I'm just sitting here listening. I'm cutting a couple of Maltesers. You're not getting any smaller than that.
Tam Forsyth, that'll define Tam. The tackle against Mick Shannon, 76, and the centenary final goal.
That was with his left foot there.
Aye.
That tackle. So.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember the pundit. It may have been Clough, actually, who gave him a hard time before the game, was it? Was it Clough?
So no Tommy Docherty?
It compared him in 76.
I called him a catwalk, didn't he?
That's right.
Compared him and Martin Buchan, didn't he? You know,
yeah.
A thoroughbred in a cart horse, that's right, I remember.
So Tam went on and played in the 78 World Cup. Great career. Unlucky with injuries at the back end. I think it was an ankle injury, but a fabulous player. Wally Henderson, top draw. Who was the quickest? Bob Gia, then Davy, then Bridge. Wally Henderson or Wally Johnson?
I would reckon it was Wally Johnson. Like, Wally Johnson could cover the ground. No lie. Wally Johnson had every attribute. He could cross the ball with left foot, he could tackle, he could header a ball. Ronaldo can't, but then again, it's a different day. As you say, the world's moved on. Johnson was a fantastic player. I think I tell you one night on a show that I'd been blaring with Big George Conley. I've not seen him for a while, actually. And he told me the best Rangers player he ever played against was Willie Johnson. He had every single attribute of footballer. He did pace, could shoot with both feet, dribble with both feet. He was a wonderful player. Lives in Kirkcaldy now.
And what a nice guy as well. Davy, who was the quickest? Henderson or John?
Willie Johnston, but along. There was a different type of game in that times. You know, everybody played to the pace, but Johnston on his day was a lot quicker than Willie Henderson. Guy was special.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bridgeman.
Yeah, Willie Johnson, Powder Hall sprint champion.
Yep.
Yes.
It's one of the fastest players ever to play football, to be honest. Wonderful speed merchant. And yes, all the attributes that the guys have said. I watched him when he came to Rangers, and I revered until the day he tapped me on the shoulder up in that restaurant and up the stand there. You Bridgeman, he says to me, you Bridgeman. Nearly died.
Imagine people setting you up on that bridge. That's a terrible thing.
You were one of them. Shocker. You Bridgeman to the fleet.
Yes, mate.
Can I ask you three of them something then? See me, you're saying Willie Henderson was faster.
Johnston was faster.
Johnston, right. So was Henderson then the better skillful winger then? Is that what I'd be asking? More close control, do a trick by a defender more than... I remember watching Willie Johnson and that when he came, but I know he was more knock it down the line and then get the cross in. So, but we're not seeing the other one. So would you say that Henderson was more skillful, running at defenders with the body's feet?
Can I take that now?
Yeah, you go, Bridge.
Yeah, I think Willie Henderson's probably the more skillful of close ball control. Willie Johnson was brilliant running onto the ball, pushing the ball 20 yards in front of him, very much like Davy Wilson was in his heyday. But Johnson was faster. But he could, as I was saying, was old, but he could actually cross every ball. If he got it past the fullback, the ball past him, he'll beat him and he'll get a cross in. B. Henderson liked to play it on the ground till he got close to the 18-yard line. And then he could cross for there. He was a good crosser of the ball from there. But very dangerous when he got close to it. Very dangerous. Really good, clever wee player. Close ball player. Close ball.
Can I come in there?
Yeah, Bob.
Bridge, you'll bear me out on this. I've seen Johnston at Ibrox tonight against a world-class Bayern Munich side.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't mind who the fullback was. I think it was a guy called Schwarzenbeck. He was a regular German international. They all were, eh? That team was full of German internationals. And they came to Ibrox after the one against John Germany. And Johnston was one of the best displays I've ever seen for a winger in my life.
Yeah,
I've seen all the greats. I've seen Best, Grinshaw, everybody at that time. And Johnson was up there with that performance that night. What a performance he put on. He tore Bayern, he red, absolute red. Go on YouTube and you'll see it.
I get it on YouTube. It's there for anybody to watch. All the greats, Willie Johnson, Grinshaw, Oxchair. It's all there, mate, if you look.
But he put in some performance that night, Johnson. Absolutely sensational.
The run, I think he gets the ball in if you like, the left back position, and he just runs past people right up to I think he's fouled about 30 yards for the opposition goal. He gets past about 6 of them.
No. Oh, aye. And in the final, of course, where he scored 2 goals in the final.
Yes. Will never be forgotten. Plus, he also sat in the ball against a couple.
Yes. And Mr. Ward will find him for that.
Yes, fabulous player. But what a guy, great guy. Me and Fox had the pleasure of spending some time with him, and he's an absolute gent. Old Davy.
I agree with what Bridgeman is saying as well, and the rest of the guys. Henderson was more of a dribbler, but you couldn't play Henderson through the middle. You could do that with Johnston, as you've seen it in Barcelona, which a few years were there, and he scored with the head and scored a cracking goal. He could come from outside to inside. His pace was electric. It really was. But Henderson was definitely the best at getting through 2 and 3. But Johnston could do that as well. But there were 2 great players. That's something that we really need something like that now.
Aye, particularly maybe on that right side. Okay.
Oh, big time.
Fabulous players, nice guys. I met Willie Henderson at the cup final against Celtic, the League Cup final, the one we should win. Me and him just stood for about 10 minutes playing up, and it was fabulous. What a nice guy as well, So, great players, guys that will never be forgotten. I mean, Tom Forsyth's up there as well. Alex Kelly, they're all names that'll always be in the Rangers family,
Oh, definitely. I believe Tam made the Hall of Fame as well. Seeing his speech, and you could just tell the emotion, how much the club meant to him, and every time I bumped into him, gentleman, that he just spoke about Rangers with so much passion, and he still loved speaking about the club. And I think he went to hospitality days just to speak to the punters. He was just a punter himself, and I think that's what was good about that era of players. Willie Henderson, he's just an ordinary guy that just loves talking about his team and his memories to us. So we all hold dearly the memories that they love speaking about.
Oh, yeah. Good guys, good people, good blue noses. And
the best of people.
Great players as well. You're right, we might never see the lights again, but the world's moved on. But we'll see what it takes us, and hopefully some of these youth lads can be the next Willie Henderson, Willie Johnson, Tam Forsyth, Southside.
Aye, then it was a bit longevity, wasn't it? They signed for the club they loved, and they stayed the length of time, and they put in great performances for the team. Now you can get lured away, with the money that's on offer these days, but that's the difference, and that's what we're up against. So, but aye, we're hoping that some of the academy boys in time that are going to break through and come into the first team and live their dream, and hopefully play well for Glasgow Rangers and win trophies. That's what we look for. But like we said, it's hard to get in our team, and when you're playing in a 2-team league and you've got to win all the time, because that's what we're built on, success, you've got to be that wee bit exceptional or take a chance when you get it. And some positions are easier. As I said, Alex earlier, you come into the team and maybe get your wee chance, maybe in a winger position. If you're a centre forward, you're a young boy, it's a lot of pressure to go and play number 9 for Glasgow Rangers, and in that league. So they've had a wee chance, the 2 boys they know. King's had chances before, and we're just hoping that they'll progress along with some of the other boys, Lewis Mayo or Boy Williamson and the boy McPake or MD else that we've got out on loan that's close to the first team. That's what we're hoping for, that they can get a chance and break in, and hopefully we'll see them flourish in a few years to come.
Dave, is dribbling with the ball something that's disappeared, or is dribbling something you've got to look forward to?
It depends which stage you like you're at.
The way I mean, Kent's a decent dribbler, but I don't know if he dribbles like Cooper does he, or maybe Henderson or Johnson does. They don't really take the ball to players anymore, do they? And you watch it in most games. A winger gets past the guy, and it's a rarity now, isn't it? You seen a wee bit of yesterday when the Spurs boy get booked against Chelsea for pulling him back. It was as if he'd done something spectacular, but that used to happen in every game in every park at one time, didn't it?
It's definitely an art that's been out of the game, yeah.
Oh, Davey there?
Yeah. I think a lot of it's got to do with the formations that we set up.
Okay.
I mean, we used to talk about inside rights, inside lefts, centre forwards, outside right. That doesn't happen. You know, it's white men.
That was a W formation that we had. That was
but they don't do that now, you know.
I'm saying that. Well, that only changed in the mid-late 60s. You know, your European coaches and all that started playing different
Alf Ramsey.
There you go, Alf Ramsey, 1966.
Let Dave finish. He doesn't talk when you're performing. I'm going to get them all shouting in when you're doing your view for the bridge, right? Carry on, Davey.
I'm not meaning that type of formation. I'm just saying that the games that we've been talking about, they played a different type of football.
You mean the opposition?
But you could tack them. But we're talking about guys who were hard men. I've seen Bobby Shearer nearly get through. Remember when at Ibrox the wee blue vans, the wee invalid vans along the front of the enclosure? I remember Bobby Shearer nearly put the guy and the blue van into the crowd. You know, and they didn't even get a foul against them. But that's what I'm talking about. That's where we are at this. That's the level of football, and it doesn't help to progress, I don't think, a lot of the players. And the young boy, Lowry, I just feel he's in a team now. You can't, if you take Henderson and them, they went into teams who were great players. We don't have that at Ibrox. You can bum them up all you like, but we don't have that top quality now. We've got good players, but you bring a boy in like that, he needs great players round about him. And I just think we're lacking a wee bit in that department.
That's a great point you made. I'm really glad you made that. Southside, I'm going to go with you, and then I'll go to Alex Kelly. When Henderson and Johnson played, they wouldn't have played against 10 men behind the ball. They'd done that. It was a game of football.
Aye, 100%. I mean, I can remember going to the games back then, seeing Rangers playing there, United and all that, and some of the other lesser teams. But teams did come and try and attack you and that. But I mean, you look at this Premier League now, honestly, they all just sit in at Ibrox or they sit in away from home. And it's murder to watch week in, week out. You know, if everybody's honest, when you buy your season ticket, you're only looking forward to them across the city, Aberdeen, probably Hibs and Hearts. You know, the rest of them, you know, you sit there and you're just waiting to break them down. So they've got no ambition. And that's what just kills the game and how you're meant to develop and play. Because when you go into Europe, we go into teams, we play in Europe and they just come and attack us straight away. Whereas we're playing in a league where we do all the attacking, you know, and we don't get really tested that much in certain games in the league. Although we give up chances during the game, but we're not getting tested the way we get tested in Europe. That's how I think when we do well in Europe, it's a great achievement for us. And the players that we've got, Davey, like you're saying, we've not got any world-class players or like we did have, no. But we had a good unit and we worked a good system and we brought all the boys on and made them better players. Alfie, Kamara, Aribo. No, we've seen big differences in Aribo since he came. You know, he's turning into a great player. But teams just sit in and it's hard for us to break them down. So the league's absolutely rotten most weeks to watch, but it's the league we're in and we've got to win it. and that's just the way it is in football.
Southside, can I just say regarding that? See, every team that comes to Ibrox now, I can tell you right now what their team talk is. It's keep them out as long as you can and get the crowd on their back. Everybody tells you that. And then the Rangers supporters take the bait, and it's not going their way, they go up in arms. And that's their team talk. I'm not saying that affects the players, but that's every team that comes to Ibrox. The whistle blows, we go forward, and they go back.
That's how we need creative players, Davey, on the park. You know, and we've got to. It's down to us, Davey. We've seen them at Ibrox week in, week out, wasting time. The ball goes behind the goal. Goalkeeper's taking ages, but it's down to us to score. It's down to us to go 1 or 2 up. You know, and that's what it's done to. It's done to our attitude. We've got to start well, and like I said at the start of the show, we've got to start playing well now as well. But we need the results first and foremost.
Correct. Scottish football, Alex Kelly. Is that the problem with Scottish football? Is it the league? Is it antiquated?
I think finances has got a lot to do with it. Ox, I mean, apart from the obvious 2 clubs, there's not a lot of clubs other than us 2 that's got a lot of finance to go out and afford the kind of better players. I mean, even when I was growing up and season ticket back in the 90s and that.
Alex, put across you. Aberdeen, the Dick Donald stand, which is the stand behind at the beach end, the rear section of that was shut because they couldn't sell the tickets. And we've got thousands and thousands of people trying to get tickets for a game. It's mental. I know.
They're cutting off their nose to spite their face, and it's simple. It's for the hatred of our club. They don't want to, give us the tickets because they can't sell them, because they're admitting to their own supporters that that this team that keeps coming up north, they're out singing these every time. They're out backing their team every time, and they hate admitting that because they see themselves as a kind of rival to us, and they've never really been a rival to us, no for the 90s. But I was talking to Andy in that during the week. I don't know what our journey, so to speak, has brought us down a wee bit to their level, that's gave them an enticement again to make them think that they're a direct rival to us, because we were up against Hibs and Hearts in that championship, and with Dundee United coming to Ibrox and beat us in the Scottish Cup, and with Aberdeen for a couple of seasons under Warburton Caixinha that was kind of beating us and getting the better of us, getting into second place in the league. But we've kind of bypassed them a bit under Gerrard, and they kind of refused to accept that our challengers are Celtic, and we see us as their main rivals as well. That's always going to be the case. But I just think that because we come down to their level for a few years, that they think they're still kind of, doing everything they can to stop us being successful. And us, or them stopping us from being successful, makes their supporters happy. And you see that with the actions of players, because they stop us from winning,
Not just Aberdeen.
No, it's not just Aberdeen. It's Hearts. It's
every grunt.
Yep, it's every club within the league that just intent to stop us from winning. Their supporters deem that a success, and that's quite sad, to be honest with you.
The 2 clubs that have showed a bit of common sense this year, Bob Cherry's been Livingston and St Mirren, isn't it?
Livingston and St Mirren.
Aye, but they're still.
Well, you're talking about selling tickets, but they get the supporters in. Aye. That's, at the end of the day, money's money. These people don't want our money. It's our money no good enough for them. Look, that's the way this league is, guys, and that's the way it's going to stay. And that's the way the situation is. You say that Aberdeen's going to stay, Hibs and the whole league. And what's the song we sing? If I can nullify it like that, what's the song we sing? No one likes us, so didn't care. Just get on with it. Keep beating them, keep winning the league. And that gets up their nose more than anything. You can analyse games, analyse players, analyse situations. Keep on beating them, and that gets up their nose more than anything. And if they didn't want your money, well, that's their tomfoolery. That's my take on it.
How galling is it Southside? when you see all these seats?
Honestly, I had to scramble about to get one for Pataudry, do you know what I mean? That puts the stress levels up, you know.
Don't I know?
So and then they've got the cheek to charge you 32 quid. You know, a horrible city, a horrible club, and some horrible players, you know. But you go in there and you look about and you can see the empty seats. You know, I think they gave us 1,100. Used to get 2 and a bit thousand along that, but they've cut us back. And then you listen to McCormack saying, "Oh, winter break's good to bring it forward, so all the fans can get in and see the game." Well, you know, it makes you laugh. You know. And it's harder to get tickets off this mob every time you're trying to get away tickets because they're just wanting to cut your allocation. But you get there most times with a will and a way.
Southside, did we know used to get that full stand behind the goal?
Used to.
A few years ago.
No, the way back behind the goal was the beach end was there. But we've always had the side part for a good while. And that mob used to flag things out of the fence all the time, you know. You've seen them charge down the park in recent years down the track side and all that, but they used to pop things out all the time and that, and now they've decided to cut our allocation back. Not in 8 days put a bit of netting up. No, if they're worried about it and it would stop that, but it just galls you, Ox, that you're out there trying to get tickets. They've cut you down to 1,100 and you look round their stadium and there's bits empty behind the goal and there's bits up in the main stand empty and all that, you know.
I think it was 6,000 empty seats, mate.
Aye, and they could have had more off us at £32 a pop.
That's a lot of money.
And you go bridge one at a time.
I was just going to say, you know how things change in years gone by. If you listen to some of these pundits, other pundits who support other teams, and they'll say, you know, 15 years ago, a game 15 years ago, when we scored against the Rangers, you know, and that was a big thing to score against them, beat Rangers and so on and so forth. Now they hate the Rangers; they just hate them. They hate them with a passion, and this passion's killing them. It's killing the game. They're killing the game in Scotland. I believe so sincerely. They're killing themselves. They're hating themselves to death.
Man, and you go, Bob, Chair?
I was in the pub one day or Saturday and all Parliament came up for England and he wanted to go a tour of the old pubs who drunk him when we were young boys. And Alloa were playing East Fife that day, right? These Ennies remember a pointless friendly we played against Liverpool and we got beat 4-0. But Fernando Torres and Robbie Keane told us about. Do you mind of that, yeah?
Yes, I do.
That was the same day. And a young laddie walked in with his Alloa strip and his Alloa scarf. He says, somebody saying, what was the score? Oh, we got beat 3-1. But it doesn't matter. That Rangers lot got beat 4-0. I couldn't help it. And I walked out and I says, excuse me. He says, aye. I says, is that what's concerning you, son? I says, your own team got beat 3-1 today in the League Cup. I said, but as long as Rangers got beat, I says, that makes everything all right. And he turned around and says to me, aye. So that just shows you the depth of feeling with these people. The depth of feeling. As long as everything bad happens to Rangers, everything's okay. And that's the mentality of them. Up and down the country. So they're willing to commit financial suicide. Good on them.
So maybe they're special with that Albert, JFK, Andy Phillips. That could be some show.
Bob Ger, she just don't.
Reverend I enjoy host.
There was Bob Ger. There was a few clubs that a lot of them were welcoming to us when we're going down the journey. You know, but unfortunately, then and now, and who's in charge and what type of chairman are in charge now that might have not been there back in the day and stuff. Some of them have probably changed a bit, but there are still a lot of clubs out there that have got their chairmen. I heard
some wonderful stories about Berwick and Montrose.
Annan.
Some great stories about it. Because they knew the chairman of East Stirling said he was solvent for 5 years. You know. Chairman of Berwick Rangers said the same. So there you go. It's financial sense. If these people, or level up as they call themselves, are willing to commit financial suicide, biggest example Aberdeen, that's entirely up to them. They'll stand or fall with it.
I'm sure that we never get into the Singe deal, but that's a cracker as well. But then again, anyway, look, we're starting to build up to Wednesday night just quickly. Big game. just a last question before we go. Southside, we might not hear from you before then, so give us your team for Wednesday, Mucker.
Oh, this time, man, you're a roaster, man, for that. Right.
I think a professional would have come on with his team preferred, Davey, you know what I mean?
I might have actually considered phoning up tomorrow and telling you, but I'll get it.
All right, you do that.
No, I'll get it quickly. McGregor, Tav, Golson, Bassey, Barisic, Kamara, Lundstrom, and
yes, Lundstrom, and they'll be pleased with that.
Lundstrom in there with Kamara. Hadji's out, and he's injured. I'm taking it. So Kent, is he? Sakala. Oh man, you got me going. I just didn't know he was suspended.
Morelos Roof.
Morelos is away.
He's away. At centre forward. I'll go with Blaggy Scott Wright, another chance. I'm missing one.
A midfielder, man, number 10, whatever you like, in front of Lundstrom.
Lurie.
I don't know, just Bacuna. He's not going to make the team, but I'll just say that anyway.
Well, gentlemen, we're going to start time in the evening. Davey, did you enjoy your Maltesers?
Yes, absolutely. It's been a great show, and it's always nice to hear your voices. And just like Bob Chair says, no one likes us, we don't care.
No, we don't, mate, we don't. Bob Chair, always a pleasure, brah.
Always a pleasure for me. Happy birthday, Willie Anders.
Here. Night, Alex.
Good night, John boy. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Always a pleasure. Southside.
Aye, mate. I've enjoyed the night. It's good to come on with yourself and the Bridge Band. So thanks for having us on. It was a good wee discussion. And I suppose that wee discussion we had there at the end could fill a night, mate. I'm sure we could be a good talking point in the future.
We forgot about Sands, but then we'll come back to that tomorrow night. You can phone in tomorrow night when you've had the time to think about your team, all right?
Right, no worries, mate. But thanks for having us on. All right.
Oh, great, mate, great. Bridgeman.
Well, what can I say? You want me to tell you the team, or you want me to say good night? I'll say good night. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world? By the way, it was a great show, Oxford. Great show. And thanks to Southside for being my partner tonight. But to all the Rangers fans all over the world, and particularly the Rangers fans here on Rangers Radio, every single one is, I've only got 2 sleeps left, and I'm going to see my team. I'm happy. Maybe a couple of naps in that lot. I'm happy. So everybody, please keep it going for the Rangers, because the Rangers need it. 17 games to go. Keep it going.
Yeah. Thanks to the boys for calling in, Alex Kelly, our Davey, and of course the one and only Bob Jar. Thanks to Bridgeman and Southside for doing the show, Fox and Old School Boy for the technicals. This has been Rangers Radio. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10 talking about all things Rangers. We'll be joined by the one and only Jaffa. Take it away, Old School Boy.
We are the Rangers FC. We are the people, you better believe. We are together, we're doing the fancy all over the world. We had our troubles, but now they are gone. They tried to kill us, but the Bears we stood strong. We are together, doing the fancy all over the world. Lucia by Bronx, for Lancer at 3. Follow, and God save the Queen. You'll hear us singing, doing the fancy all over the world. In Barcelona in 72, we beat the Russians, but 3 goals to 2. Still celebrating, doing the fancy all over the world. Glasgow Rangers, back where we belong. Lucia Vibrox, and we're still going strong. red, white and blue. We wear them proudly like blue noses do. We are together doing the bouncy all over the world. The pride of Scotland, but that's nothing new. The pride of Glasgow, and Glasgow is blue. We are together doing the bouncy all over the world. To be a blue nose, it fills us with pride. We are united, we'll never divide. We are together doing the bouncy all over the world. Doing the bouncy all over the world. Doing the bouncy all over the world.